Hey guys, Dean Chase here with another geometry lesson for you. Today's going to be lesson 1.5. This is page 35 if you're working on the same textbook as me. And we're going to learn how to describe angle pair relationships. So let's go ahead and get started with the word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank for this day, Lord. I want to thank for all you do. I pray that you'll help my students understand this and help me guide them and give them the knowledge they need. We love you, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. All right, guys. So like I said, fun lesson. We're going to learn how to describe angle pair relationships. Two angles are complementary angles if the sum of their measure is 90 degrees. Each angle is a complement of the other. Two angles are supplementary angles if the sum of their measure is 180 degrees. Each angle is a supplement of the other. Okay, so knowledge you need to know from those sentences. Complementary angles equal 90 degrees. Supplementary angles equal 180 degrees. So complementary angles are going to be angles that add up to equal 90 degrees. And supplementary, they're going to add up to equal 180 degrees. Complementary angles and supplementary angles can be adjacent angles or non-adjacent angles. Adjacent angles are two angles that share a common vertex and side but have no common interior points. That's pretty simple. Adjacent angles are touching angles. Okay, they share a common vertex just like this. These are non-adjacent, non-touching. Supplementary, touching angles, they share a common vertex. Non-adjacent, not touching. Okay? Example 1. In the figure, name a pair of complementary angles, a pair of supplementary angles, and a pair of adjacent angles. So, for complementary angles, we are looking for two angles that add up to 90 degrees. So if we take a look here, we have 75, 105, and 15 degrees for these angle measures. So we can notice that 75 plus 15 will equal our 90 degrees. So we're going to say for complementary angles, angle GHI and angle KLJ are going to be our complementary angles. Supplementary angles are going to be our two angles that are going to add up to equal 180 degrees. So if we look at it, we know that 75 plus 105 is going to equal 180. So those two angles are going to be our supplementary angles. So angles GHI again and angle KLM. Okay? And lastly, our adjacent angles. We're looking for two angles that share a common vertex. So, two angles that are going to make up one single angle is another way to look at. We have this big angle here, which is made up by these two smaller angles. So they are going to be our adjacent angles, if that makes sense. Our adjacent angles are going to be angle KLJ and angle MLK. I think this is pretty interesting, fun stuff. Let's just go ahead and keep going and get done with this lesson. Example 2. Given that angle 1 is a complement of angle 2 and the measure of angle 1 is 17 degrees, find the measure of angle 2. So when it says angle 1 is a complement of angle 2, that means that they're going to be complementary angles. That's what they're saying there. So we know that angle 1 plus angle 2 is going to equal 90 degrees. We also know that the measure of angle 1 is 17. We don't know the measure of angle 2, so we'll call that x in this point. And they add up to equal 90 degrees. Well, now we can solve for the measure of angle 2 by subtracting 17 from each side. Okay? Now we can say that x is going to equal 90 minus 17 is going to give us 73. Okay? So the measure of angle 2 equals 73 degrees. Next part, given that angle 3 is a supplement of angle 4, and the measure of angle 3 equals 119, find the measure of angle 4. So if it's a supplement, we know that it is going to have to add up to equal 180 degrees. So the measure of angle 3 plus the measure of angle 4 equal 180 degrees. We know the measure of angle 3 is 119 plus x is going to equal 180. To solve this, we just have to subtract 119 from each side, and x is going to equal 61. Okay, so the measure of angle 4 equals 61 degrees. Once again, pretty straightforward, a little bit of algebra mixed in with our geometry today, but that's what makes it fun, right? Example 3. Two roads intersect to form supplementary angles. Angle XYW and WYZ, okay? So these are going to be our supplementary angles because they form a straight line. Find the measure of XYW and WYZ. So the first part of this is we need to figure out what our x value is. And we can do that because we know that that angle XYW plus angle WYZ add up to equal 180 degrees because they are supplementary. That's why we know that. Now we could take our given information about those two angles and plug it in and solve. XYZ is going to be 2x plus 14 plus 4x minus 20, and that's all going to add up to equal 180 degrees. Now we need to combine our like terms. So we have x values here, and we have whole numbers here. So our x values are going to be 6x plus plus minus 6, sorry, I should just say minus 6. Minus 6 equals 180 degrees. Now let's just go ahead and solve this out. We're going to add 6 to each side of this equation. Plus 6 to each side. So now 6x is going to equal 186. Divide each side by 6. And x equals 31. Okay, we're not done there because we have to go ahead and finish solving for our angle measures. I actually am going to just go to a blank slide so we have a little bit more room to do some work. So x equals 31. I'm going to go ahead and write that right up here to start us off. If x equals 31, to solve for these angle measures, all we have to do is plug our x value into those equations. Or plug it into 1 and take it and subtract it from 180. I'm going to do it that way so you can see how that works. So let's go ahead and do XYW. Angle XYW equals 2 times 31 plus 14. Angle XYW equals 62 plus 14. Okay, almost done. The measure of angle XYW equals 76 degrees. Okay, that is going to be the measure of XYW. Now, we know that's 76 degrees, and we know that the two angles are going to be supplementary. So that's really easy to solve for the second one because all we have to do is take 180 minus 76. So I'm going to say the measure of angle WYZ equals 180 minus 76, which gives us the measure of angle WYZ equals 104 degrees. Okay. We could have also said that the measure of angle WYZ equals 4x minus 20, plugged in our x value and solved that way. But I just wanted to give you two different ways of solving this because, hey, why not? That's what's awesome about math. Let's keep going. Angle pairs. Two adjacent angles are a linear pair if their non-common sides are opposite rays. The angles in a linear pair are supplementary angles. So, really what that is saying, because words can really drag us down, a linear pair is two angles that connect to form a straight line. I like saying it that way. Two angles are vertical angles if their sides form two pairs of opposite rays. So really, if you have two sets of lines, the numbers that are opposite of each other are going to be vertical angles. So 4 and 5 and 3 and 6 are going to be vertical angles. Example 4. Identify all the linear pairs and all of the vertical angles in the figure. So what you have to do that is you have to just look for our straight lines, okay? So right here, we have a line that cuts perfectly straight through. And the two angles that make that up are going to be angle 1 and angle 2. So one of the linear pairs is going to be angle 1 and angle 2. Okay, now let's look for another straight line. We have this blue line that cuts through, and it's made up of angle 2 and angle 3. Okay, and there's no more straight lines because this line just bumps into nothing there. Would have had to be a line going out. Now, vertical angles are angles that are formed in between two sets of straight lines. So we have a straight line here and a straight line here. So the vertical angles are going to be the angles that are directly across from each other. Angle 1 and angle 3 are vertical angles. Besides that, there are no more vertical angles because 2 is directly across from a split angle. There's a line splitting that up, so there's not one angle in between these two lines, there's two. So that can't be a set of vertical angles. Okay, guys, last example and then we're done. Two angles form a linear pair. The measure of one angle is 3 times the measure of the other angle. Find the measure of each angle. So the first thing we know is it forms a linear pair. So these two angles are going to have to add up to equal 180 degrees. The second thing we know, and this is a little bit of algebra for you, is that one angle is 3 times the value of the other angle. So this is saying one angle plus the other angle has to equal 180 degrees. Well, we know that one of the angles is 3 times the value of the other. Now all we have to do is solve this by combining our like terms. So we're left with 4x equals 180, okay? Divide by 4. And x equals 45, okay? Now we're not done there. They want to know the measure of both angles. So I'm going to go ahead and box this off and we'll finish it off down here. One of the angles is just x. So that's really easy. There's an angle that equals 45 degrees. And that's going to be one of our angle measures. The next angle is going to be 3 times x, which is 3 times 45. Which is going to equal 135, I believe. Yeah, 135 is going to be our other angle. Not a bad lesson, pretty quick lesson. I hope you guys all understood it. Feel free to reach out to me, and I'll do my best to help you. Anyways, guys, that's all. See ya!